Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Maddie Brown. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admission here at Gettysburg College. And first and foremost, we want to congratulate you, students of the incoming class of 2025 to Gettysburg College. We do hope to see you on campus this fall and welcome you into our wonderful community. And this evening, you get to meet some of that wonderful community. We have a couple of current Gettysburg College students and some wonderful professors here to talk specifically about both our business and economics programs here and how they play together. So for your questions tonight, we will be using the Q&A feature at the bottom. So please, as soon as you have a question, put it there, and one of us will get to it just as soon as we can. I will also make note that we are recording this session for possible future use. So without further ado, I will hand it over.
So hello, everyone. My name is Marta Maras. I'm an assistant professor at the management department here at Gettysburg College. And tonight I am joined by two of my students, Emily Rush and Anya Ford. And Anya is even in Berlin, and Emily has been with us for like the last 4 years. So these are like excellent and dedicated students. And they're gonna help me in introducing our major, which is the my slide, Business Organizations and Management, or as we call it, the BOM major here at Gettysburg College, right? Now, our major essentially explores organizations, how they function, how managers and leaders make decisions, how they think critically in their business environment, and what individuals actually do when they interact and behave in the business landscape. Right? And in this major in particular, we acknowledge that businesses are part of this landscape, a very influential part, and they both influence and are influenced by several social, political, economic, and cultural forces. This major is anchored in social sciences and explores the study of business in a very liberal arts fashion. So what we aim to have is a major that fosters critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving with a high level of rigor, and the practice of both like profit-oriented, but also like socially responsible management. Now, what is kind of like the key component of our business major is the critical management perspective, right? And this is the point that we tend to implement in all of our courses, and it expands the traditional view of studying the business curriculum. What does that exactly mean? So some of you have heard of the triple bottom line, right? That besides the financial component takes into account the social and the environmental, like basically impacts of the business, or the so-called like 3 Ps, the planet, people, and profits. So instead of one bottom line, which would be the profits one, which also, of course, receives considerable attention, we view the business as the one impacting all of the stakeholders. So these are all entities, both organizations and individuals, that are influenced by the business in the indirect and direct way, right? And in this kind of study, what we encourage students to do is basically to reinterpret the role of business, in particular the role of corporations, to understand better their impact like in our society, right? So workers, communities, environment like our planet are all given consideration in such a study, right? And in that light, you can, like I'm gonna talk about that like in the next slide, you can see the usual suspects like in our curriculum, but we also cover specific topics such as the stakeholder and the shareholder theory and contrast those. We also give importance to globalization and sustainability, so organizing for green markets in our society. We explore the role of leadership and how organized labor and distribution of wealth impact the structure of the societies, and also what role ethics plays both in the corporate and business setting, right? And how important social justice, workplace motivation, work and family balance are, for example, on the individual level when you study the behavior of both like managers, leaders in all kinds of organizations, and also like employees. Now, this major would be basically a good fit for anybody aspiring for some kind of like managerial role or leadership positions and all kinds of like levels, right? And in different kinds of organizations. So some business, for-profit ones, governmental, nonprofits, and others. Now, how is our major structured in general? Our curriculum comprises of 12 courses that you would need to complete. We have a specific, 6 core courses. We have microeconomics and accounting that are generally suggested to students to complete in their first year. Then we have the statistical methods, which is our gateway class, and you need to earn like a C or better to be a BOM major. And then come the organizational behavior. Both of these you should complete by the end of your sophomore year. And then we have research methods and ethics for your junior year. When students also choose a group of 2 courses, which kind of specifies their tracks. You can either go the route of finance and marketing, or you could go more the organizational route, which would be the organizational theory and then systems thinking or decision making, right? Besides that, we have 3 upper level electives, and let me just show you that we have a lot of electives. Which is part of the interdisciplinary nature of our both curriculum and like the faculty composition. So besides these, we also have like a number of other electives that are currently in development or just to be released, where we are linking business studies with arts, with language, with communication, sociology, anthropology, and some others. And in terms of like faculty, you can basically expect the faculty basically to know you pretty well by like the end of the first month of classes. This is something that is very characteristic of Gettysburg College. Faculty tend to have like, well, compared to other larger like business schools, lower student to professor ratios. And even though both like economics and business have like a higher ratio than other departments, those are still lower than in larger schools that you might be, right? And this enables us to advise you and guide you in your both like the curriculum and your major studies and also your career prospects like pretty closely. Now, the other component that we have here in the major is the critical action learning. Critical action learning gives us encourages basically students to get like some real feel of like the business. So a taste of the business in the real world. That can be accomplished by studying abroad in cooperation with the Center for Global Education. We have students that are basically like more than half of them study abroad in worldwide locations. Then students can also complete internships where they, through the Center for Career Engagement, would get a feel of like how the business works, and they would be gaining basically like new insights into workings of organizations in their preferred like field of interest. The CC has been going the extra mile since last spring, connecting our both our students and recent graduates with alumni to find such opportunities and complete such internships and find them new the job opportunities. The third way of accomplishing this can be also through community engagement projects in cooperation with Center for Public Service and others. Students can be part of like the community. They can serve as consultants to local businesses, and they can be involved in various immersion projects, tutoring, and other weekly like engagements. Now, you can also have business as your minor. We provide pre-business advising, and there are other business requirements. Now, both of my students, Emily and Anya, will actually talk about their experiences as well at studying abroad and also finding internships and various opportunities in our department and outside of it. And list of careers like after Gettysburg that our students have undertaken, like are many, many, right? So I will, move pass on the microphone to Rim. Should I stop sharing here? And then Rim, you can continue.
Great. Thank you so much, Marta. Welcome, everyone. We are really excited for everyone who is joining Gettysburg family next year. Hope to see you in person. This year has been a bit tough on all of us, on students, on faculty, on our staff, but we persevered, and I think next year is going to be an exciting one with many opportunities for you to learn. What you have heard from Professor Maras is also very relevant in economics field. Students who major in economics, they have very similar co-curricular opportunities to learn and grow, and that's a very important part of education in liberal arts setting. But I want to share you a little bit about this, a little bit of specifics about the economics department, so you get a little bit fuller view. But students who are interested in business, management, economics, entrepreneurship, finance, they do take courses in both departments. We interact a lot together. In fact, Professor Maras and I, we are doing research together. So it's a very tight-knit community here at Gettysburg College. I'm going to share the screen where I would like to show you the website for economics department, where we have a wealth of information. So first of all, what do we offer? We offer two types of majors. We offer Bachelor of Arts in Economics, and we offer Bachelor of Science in Mathematical Economics. So major in economics is 13 courses. Major in mathematical economics is 17 courses. You get more rigorous training in math and computer science in this major. It's almost like you get a double major in mathematical, in math and economics, but the capstone is mathematical economics, so it combines those two disciplines together. We do have economics minor. So for example, some students who major in business, they might minor in economics and vice versa. You can always explore this website. We have multiple of courses for you to offer. We have an excellent department with faculty from really diverse fields. And that's what I love about Gettysburg College. When I arrived here 11 years ago, that we have people doing so much interesting research from different disciplines. We have monetary economics, we have finance, we have international economics, we have environmental economics, we have health economics. Various regions of the world are covering by the faculty who are either born or have conducted research in different parts of the world. I'm personally from Lithuania originally, therefore that long, weird name that you see. And it's been really great to meet students who also major in economics, who are international students. So you get to interact with a lot of them in our major. You can always explore the career options that our students pursue, and it's really diverse array. Our students end up working in government, in NGOs, in private sector, starting their own businesses. I had one research assistant that started 3 companies while he was at Gettysburg and while he was doing research for me. Not sure how he managed to do that. And currently, just recently, he had an IPO for one of the companies that he's working, and very successful IPO. So there are opportunities for students both learn and try things out. So I want to connect some of the resources that our students have. So for example, Entrepreneurship and Social Innovation Initiative at Gettysburg College. That's where you get some additional training and meet other like-minded people to try out some of the ideas that you learn in management department and economics department in real life. And you get some funding to start your ideas, and then you can see where that takes you. A lot of our students double major as well, or minor in other disciplines. Public policy major is a very common one for our students to pursue. I'm also on the faculty advisory board, as well as Professor Maras on international and global studies. It's more international affairs and globalization studies, and many more. Our Eisenhower Institute, a public policy institute that we have at Gettysburg College, intertwines with a lot of the activities that we do at Gettysburg College. So things that we learn in economics disciplines that have public policy bent, students can then go to Washington, D.C. and learn from the insiders through the Eisenhower Institute. So a vast array of opportunities when you are in our majors. We are both BOM and economics are the largest majors, some of the largest majors on campus. Lots of students very interested in learning about economic way of thinking, about leadership, ethical leadership in management. And I encourage you to explore our website to learn more about opportunities. I just realized that on our website, we have still Tyler Mann, who was my research assistant. We managed to go to China together one summer to do research on Bitcoin mining and in general blockchain management in China. And the student that I have here with me today, Sam, is current research assistant, and he's building on some of the ideas that Tyler and I developed in China a couple of years ago, still before pandemic. So I'm going to stop here and then be happy to answer more questions, but we should get our students to share their experiences and their views on what we have to offer here at Gettysburg College.
So if I can ask, so I have two students of mine here. As I said, like Emily is our double major, both art history and management, which was quite a combination. So she was going to tell us about her experiences. And Anya is exactly the mix that Professor Baltadonis was talking about, both business and an econ minor.
Who would like to go first?
Yeah, so girls, you can talk about your experiences abroad, your internship, and general experiences with the major and the department.
Anya, do you want me to start? Or
Yeah.
you want to start?
Either way is totally fine with me.
Okay. I'll kick us off then. My name is Emily. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm a senior pursuing a double major in management and art history. Clearly, those are very different fields, but I've found ways to intentionally connect them at my time here at Gettysburg through course cluster, through my abroad experience, and then through internships as well. On campus, I am involved in residential life. I was an RA for 2 years, and then I'm a resident coordinator this year. I am a PLA for the management department. I've done research for the art history department, and then I'm also a gallery attendant this semester. Just to kick off with experiences about the management major, I was kind of unsure at first just because I didn't really know my exact path at Gettysburg. I knew I really wanted to pursue art history, but I knew I wanted to build upon that. So I took a couple of classes and that confirmed my interest in the major. And the reason I enjoy it so much is because it is interdisciplinary. There's a lot of psychology, sociology, economics, management. It's a lot of crossover. And you can definitely apply all these different lenses and disciplines, which encourages you to think critically, and apply yourself and build really practical knowledge, skills, and abilities for the real world. Great faculty. I've had a super welcoming, supportive, and kind experience with my advisor, with all the professors, and then also the chair of the department, Professor Odo Dusso. And then there's also really great classes offered. Some of my favorites were organizational behavior, work-life family balance, and then my capstone course I took last semester with Professor Maris. And then I guess I can touch upon my course cluster next a little bit, because that shows a more direct way on how I connected my majors. A course cluster is a project here at Gettysburg for one of the interdisciplinary requirements, and you can either take some courses or connect two courses that are from different disciplines in a project. So I connected my work-life family balance class with European painting, which sounds kind of strange and kind of odd, but I made connections with a lot of the theoretical underpinnings of the work-life family balance interfaces and connection with Impressionist paintings. So I focused on the segmentation versus integration models, as well as the workforce model in the industrial age, and then different gender norms all within these paintings. So that was a great way that got me excited to connect my majors. And then when people are like, why are you in those two majors? I could give more of a articulate answer other than I just like them both. And they do play into each other with a lot of theory. And then another way that we get to do research in or management is through the capstone, which is a senior research project required to graduate. Each major looks a little bit different, but the management one has different themes. And so I took Professor Maris's irrational behavior, and we could basically choose any kind of irrational behavior to research, and I chose confirmation bias. And so you collect literature, form hypotheses, you then collect the data, run statistical analyses, and then present your conclusions, which was great. Another thing to highlight is study abroad. Although my experience was short-lived and I would have liked to have it last a little bit longer, I was abroad last spring, so spring 2020, when the pandemic was just starting. I was studying in Rome, Italy, and I was there for about a month and a half before having to return home. But there I got to take an elective for management, which was cultural heritage, business, and strategies. This was another integration of my two fields because it focused on nonprofit institutions. And so like before we got sent home, I would like go to the Coliseum and we'd learn about their management there and different like services they put on. And that was one of my favorite courses for sure. Real life application, I interned at a small art nonprofit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called Contemporary Craft last summer. And I got to utilize both my skill set from management and art history. I got to work with the director of exhibitions, but I also did work with marketing, with development, and with the store. I was running some data analyses and doing all these different things that I've learned from my management degree. Therefore, I have really utilized and applied both of my majors so far. And then I guess I can highlight my PLA experience a little bit. I've been a PLA since my junior year. And so as a student, you get a great leadership opportunity and you get to teach and you get to learn more practical skills in SPSS and Excel. And then you also, as like on the other end of it, you get to stay fresh on the statistics that you'll need in the rest of the courses. So I felt a lot more prepared in some of the other courses because it does stay consistent throughout most of your courses here at Gettysburg. And yeah, do you want us to give advice now or later, Professor Maris? Like
You can leave it for later. We can connect it with the
Anya,
questions. Yeah.
You are good to go.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. I first want to say congratulations to everyone. It's very exciting getting accepted to Gettysburg, so congrats on that. My name is Anya Ford. I am a junior from Boston, Mass. I'm studying business management with a minor in econ. On campus, I work in the admissions office as a tour guide. I'm a PLA like Emily, that's a peer learning assistant. It's kind of like the TA program that other schools with graduate programs have. So I do that for statistics and for microeconomics. I play club rugby and I'm a sister of Delta Gamma, so there's other stuff to do on campus too. And right now I'm studying abroad in Berlin, so I will start off by talking about that. I was very, very lucky to be able to still be going abroad. I know a lot of people like Emily had experiences that were either cut short or canceled entirely, so it's definitely a huge privilege to be able to still be going abroad. The kind of interesting thing that I've noticed here, so the program that I happen to be going through is called CIEE, and it's a program that takes students from universities all over the United States and has kind of a home base in a bunch of different cities in Europe. So I'm here with a bunch of other students from a bunch of other different universities. And being obviously taking classes abroad is very interdisciplinary. So you're learning a lot about the culture of where you are, and you're learning a lot about the history of where you are, but then you're also taking really practical classes. So for instance, I took an international finance class, and taking that abroad is something that was really special because it's not an experience you can get back home at Gettysburg. And taking it abroad allows for this really kind of unique contextualization and really very experience-based learning. And Gettysburg is a huge advocate for experience-based learning. So that's definitely something that I would really recommend. Studying abroad is really, really popular at Gettysburg. We're consistently ranked in the top 5, I believe, in the nation or so for our study abroad experience. I would definitely recommend taking advantage of that opportunity. And it's something that the business management major in particular really encourages. I know Professor Morris talked about how that's actually built into the structure of the major. So that's abroad. In terms of the combination of business management and econ, it's a really, really cool combination. There's lots of people who do it in some form or fashion. So I'm doing the business major with the econ minor. Some people do the opposite, some people double major. There's definitely lots of ways to workshop it. But what's really cool about it is that you get to learn the, like hard skills, the really technical math skills in your econ classes. And then that's combined with the softer skills that are just as important, like learning strategy, learning policy, that kind of thing, with the business management. And the combination of those two is something that's really unique, especially in a liberal arts focus. So this combination of hard and soft skills, like, communication, self-motivation, leadership, those kinds of things, that's definitely provided me a really, really great base and a really nice balance in terms of, when companies look at me for internships, and it made me a really attractive candidate for, I worked at Dell after my freshman year, and then I worked at Crodatus Capital, which is a private equity firm after my sophomore year. So it's definitely a very kind of cool way to combine the interdisciplinary nature of a liberal arts degree with like a real concrete focus in terms of actual skills that you're going to be using in your, day-to-day jobs once you graduate. And so in terms of business specifically, because that's my major, we do, like Professor Morris said, we do kind of look at organizations as a whole in a really wide context, rather just as seeing them as, like singular entities that are trying to maximize profit. And looking at it in this big picture way, especially when I'm taking these classes abroad, has really kind of, it's almost hard to explain. It's let me zoom out in a way that's, it's definitely very unique, and it just gives a very different, a different focus and a different lens to the whole study abroad experience, as well as looking at, like what specific day-to-day work I'm doing in my internships. So that is kind of the career skills side of it. There's definitely the 2 different paths to take in the management major. If you choose to do the more organizational path, you'll take classes like decision making and organization behavior and that kind of thing. And then you can take kind of the more technical side when you'll take classes like finance and marketing. Both are equally great, both are equally interesting. It's just totally dependent on your interests. From the PLA side of things, Emily already talked about this a little bit. Again, a PLA, it's more or less a tutor chosen by the professor for a specific class. So I was a tutor for Professor Morris's statistics class. Actually, Emily and I are partners for it, so that's kind of fun. From the student side, it's a really, really great resource. I really relied on my PLA when I was taking my stats class. It's just really nice to kind of have someone to lean on who went through it too. And then from a PLA side, it's definitely a neat way to explore leadership and those kind of softer skills I talked about, as well as, just really diving into those topics, getting a closer relationship with the professor, a closer relationship with the programs you're using. Really all around a great way to kind of gain a little bit more independence in the more difficult subjects. And then just in terms of the management community and the econ community, it's a really, really cool group of people to be a part of. I mean, I wouldn't be calling in from 1 a.m. in Berlin if I didn't really, care about the people and care about kind of the message of the management department in particular. Because we are such a small school, I know Professor Morris talked about our student faculty ratio is really small. You become really, really close with the people in your class. Just spending so much time together. I think the biggest class I've had has been about like 20 students or so. We really do keep it very small. The top floor of Glatfelter, where management is, it's always open for studying or for meeting with professors. And professors are always so excited to talk about, the research that they're doing or the work that they're involved in. And it's a really, really open-minded, very diverse community with just so many different thinkers and stuff going on constantly that you just really do want to like dive in and be involved. So that's just about all I have to say. Sorry, it's a little word vomiting, but yeah, if anyone has any questions, again, I do work in admissions, so I'm more than happy to help out with anything or just reach out to me. I'm sure you'll get our information somewhere.
Thank you. And yeah, I have them all like on the last slide that we will share. And should we hear from Sam?
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak on this. I know we are getting a little bit low on time, so I'll try to keep this pretty brief because there's plenty to speak about in regards to the entire economics department. That being said, I just want to thank everyone who has spoken before me. Thank you so much for doing such a great job. Thank you everyone who's here today, and congratulations once again. So to start off, I'm Sam Jaglinzer. I'm a junior. I'm from Cumberland, Maine. I'm a mathematical economics major, so I'm pursuing the Bachelor of Science as opposed to the Bachelor of Arts. I'm a double minor in mathematics and writing. As much as I love to speak on my minor in writing, I'll skip that for today. The minor in math ties in a little bit more well. On campus, I am a research assistant for the economics department for Professor Baltaduanis, as noted earlier. Unfortunately, I've not traveled with him to China to do research. Maybe that's in the cards for next year, we'll see. As well, I'm a writing tutor for the English department. I'm a brother of the Sigma Chi fraternity. I'm a student representative for the Student Conduct Review Board. And I believe that's, I'm also a student facilitator for the Office of Experiential Education. So that being said, to speak on my experience in the economics department or the mathematical economics major as a whole for the Bachelor of Science, it's actually part of the reason why I even came to Gettysburg in the first place. I was really sold on it. I think it was on Get Acquainted Day. It was marketed as a major intended for people to go to grad school, and they learn so much and become such proficient thinkers and creators and doers that half of them never go to grad school because they have so many job offers. And I was absolutely swept up by that. And I can very much speak to the veracity of that statement. I mean, I'll be working for the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau this summer. It's one of the many things that people in my major will be going on to do: finance, business, government, policy creation. There are just so many doors that are open as a result of pursuing an economics major. As a research assistant, I'm fortunate enough to be doing research on Bitcoin, something I've never studied before. As well, I get to participate and actually run experiments for the Gettysburg Laboratory for Experimental Economics. That's certainly not something that is at every school. A student experience to both participate and assist with experimental economics and to eventually publish research. As for faculty relations, it's been noted earlier, but our class sizes are so small. Students become very tightly knit within their student bodies who are in their classes. I have best friends who are friends simply from my major that I've had classes and classes and classes with, and professors who often reach out and ask me how I'm doing. And today I actually just got back from a field trip. We just went hiking with my environmental economics class because that's just the thing we do. And my professor, who's my advisor, bought us all ice cream at the end. It's just an experience that you won't get many places. So, so we're already down below 10 minutes. So I think I'll leave the rest up to questions, but thank you so much once again for coming.
I just realized that Sam, I got to know him in my energy and security class, mostly online. He was with his buddies in Vermont. And this year, when students returned to campus and we met in person, we started working together. So it's great to see that transition happen so smoothly, and online semester not ruining all those connections and opportunities. So we are happy to answer any questions that you may have. There is a Q&A option for you to type in questions. We'll be happy to answer them. We still have time for that.
Okay. Maddie's telling us while we are waiting for those questions, we can hear your general advice to incoming students. So Emily, Anya, or Sam, can you share some of key points? What would you do if you were an incoming first year student?
I can go ahead. I have mine. So kind of on two kind of I guess physical things would be make sure to plan out and balance your schedule with your major requirements as well as with your Gettysburg curriculum requirements. Because the earlier you kind of sit down and plan that out, the more wiggle room you can give yourself, and you can kind of find interesting classes or something like that, pick up an extra minor later on down the road, but making sure to balance both of your commitments will kind of make life easier later on. And then also, don't be afraid to show up and make connections with professors early on. Having those relationships, as kind of you can see here, having those relationships has been really, really helpful for me in terms of future opportunities and just general learning experiences. So definitely if you're taking a class and the professor seems kind of cool, or there's something that they mentioned that you want to learn more about, definitely take that opportunity to go and form those relationships.
There is a question about economics. Rim, do you want to take it?
Sure. I see Ethan is asking, what do you think mostly separates economics at Gettysburg versus other schools? I mentioned the diversity of fields that our faculty covers. That can be unique because some schools end up specializing in one area or the other. We do have from micro to macroeconomics, from focus on regions to very much thematic topics. Very unique thing at Gettysburg College is Gettysburg Lab for Experimental Economics that Sam talked about. It's not often that universities can dedicate resources to have a dedicated lab to conduct economics research. And we do have that. I'm myself an experimental economist, had a privilege to work with a Nobel laureate who got his prize for experimental economics. He is super jealous of our lab because even his lab is not as great at Chapman University as ours, because I copied him and then learned from his mistakes. So to be able to conduct research for students in the lab is great. And of course, with behavioral economics increasingly being popular and interesting, not just to common people, but also to businesses and NGOs and government. Sam has mentioned that he is going to be an intern at CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That agency conducts experiments at Gettysburg College to understand how policies about information, about financial literacy, about various disclosures can be presented to other people. So those connections, when you have a facility like GLE, can really open up a lot of opportunities. And then those agencies end up knowing about us, firms end up knowing about us, and the opportunities end up opening for internships, for jobs, and so forth. And I'm just going to mention another thing, because we are such a closely knit community. Our alums end up being very engaged with the college even after they graduate. So our students get to shadow them during short-term periods in their jobs, and then get internships and career advice. So econ alums end up being increasingly more and more engaged with our current students, and that's unique to few schools, especially when you compare to research universities.
Exactly. And Emily, if you can share your advice now as well, what would you say, especially like as the senior here?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, kind of like what Anya said, I'll build upon that. Look into those checklists, majors you're interested in, take a class or two. So that way you get a taste of the major, you can kind of get a feel for it. If you like it, great, you can continue on. If you don't, you didn't dive into this whole major and then, you know, have to backtrack and start from square one. So that's kind of what I did with my management. I started with just the basic classes and continued on, and it worked out really well. Next thing, just for management specific, well, all Gettysburg classes, but specifically for certain classes, apply yourself, come prepared, and make an effort to get to know the professor and make that relationship, most specifically for statistics and research methods. Statistics because you need to get a C or better, and then research methods because that's like your really foundational course that they really try to have everyone succeed and do really well. And then lastly, just double majors are very doable. A lot of people have done it. You just have to put some effort into planning and work hard at fitting everything in. It's easy to want to do a lot of things at Gettysburg, but it's definitely doable if you put in the work.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Anya. And we will wrap up this presentation, but if you have questions that come up after this, which is normally what happens, right? Like, let's think on this and mull it over for the night. Definitely reach out to these individuals. Our professors here at Gettysburg College are here for you, and these 3 outstanding current students, I mean, look at all that they have done in their experiences, and only one of them is actually a senior. So they are willing to also answer your questions, and their contact info is here. So thank you to all 5 of these amazing panelists for representing both business management and economics tonight at Gettysburg College. And thank you all for tuning in, bringing your questions, and good luck in making your final college decision. Thanks again. Take care.